Good evening. I'm John Batchelor. This is The John Batchelor Show. Mary Kissel of the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal and the host of Opinion Journal each day at 1 p.m. at WSJ.com joins me this evening. Mary and I are going to turn to the mayoralty race in New York. Mr. Weiner is by no means out of this, and the turn here is who places first and second in the Democratic primary. And we are also going to address the economy. Mary, the president's been on the road the last 2 weeks talking the economy, and at your show, you've been addressing the president's speeches and his pivot. Is that what he calls it? A pivot to jobs?
A pivot to jobs, yes,
Pivot
John.
to jobs. We're also going to talk about John Kerry, the Secretary of State, and his ambition for a two-state solution with Mahmoud Abbas, once upon a time elected president of the Palestinian Authority, just not recently, and the Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. However, we begin with a special. Mary, what's that phone you've got?
This is an Obama phone, John.
That is an Obama phone.
The first one I've ever seen.
It's small, it's simple, it's black. I happen to have an Obama phone too. And Mary and I have these Obama phones. They don't work. Thanks to our special guest this evening, Jillian K. Melchior of the National Review Online. Jillian, a very good evening to you.
Good evening.
Jillian, the question here is, your program today, your presentation today on the National Review Online presents a story that needs to be heard in detail for people to understand it. You came into the possession of these three phones, they're called Obamaphones, by your hard work as a journalist. How did you gain them? Good evening.
Good evening. The federal government has a program called the Lifeline Program. And what it was supposed to do is provide phone service to people who are very poor, couldn't even afford the most basic phone plan, so that they can call their bosses or their moms or 911 if they needed it. However, in 2008, this program expanded to cell phone carriers, and since then, fraud and abuse have just been rampant. You get stories of people having dozens of phones, and I was curious how hard it was to get one. I'm not eligible in any way, shape, or form for an Obama phone, so I hit the streets and tried to get them, and I got 3.
How did you do that?
Well, I'd go to all the different welfare offices in Manhattan. And what I kind of found out through trial and error is that anywhere you can sign up for food stamps, outside of the office, there will be vendors from the companies, the wireless companies that run the Lifeline program, approach you on the street with a tablet and say, do you have your free phone yet? And if you say no, they go, oh, well, let's sign you up for one. Let's see if you're eligible. Are you on welfare? And I'm a journalist, and I have a lot of respect for the law as well, so I didn't want to lie. So I'd say, nope, not on welfare, but boy, would I like to be. And that was enough. They'd sign me up for a free phone, take down my information like my address, my name, they'd maybe take a photo of my ID, and then, bam, shipped off. I started receiving phones in the mail about 2 weeks later.
Now, Jillian, this is a very important point because you make a very big point in the story to say that I respected journalistic ethics. This is not a gotcha story. You were upfront about that when they asked you, did you receive your phone yet? When you tried to get a second and a third, you said, no, I haven't. You were truthful. So, why is it that your credentials were never checked? Did you find that people just didn't care? They were overloaded with requests? What was the problem?
Well, there are a couple of problems with this program. And I think first and foremost, this is corporate welfare. So all of the phone companies, every time they get a phone to a person, they're getting $10 from the federal government per month to cover service.
You meaning from taxpayers?
Yep, from taxpayers. And you can actually see on your phone bill, there's a universal service fee. That's what that's paying for. So that's the first problem, that they have a high incentive to put out as many of these phones as they can. Second problem is, as much as the federal government shouldn't be in the business of handing out cell phones, cell phone companies shouldn't be in the business of checking whether or not you have welfare and administering a program. And so they're not doing due diligence. Kind of predictable.
We're going to call the cell phone and hear what it sounds like. You're all going to hear an Obama phone. We'll explore how much this is costing you, this particular ring. You're going to hear it. We're going to turn Jillian's mic off and turn her cell phone on. Go ahead, call Jillian.
Can you hear it?
Please answer, Jillian.
Hi, this is Jillian.
That's Jillian on an Obama phone. You've heard it officially now. Now, Jillian, we need to know how much this costs. This is an annual program. To my knowledge, it started way back in the 20th century, but it added mobile phones in 2008 under the Bush administration.
It did. It added phones in 2008, mobile phones. And that's really when you saw the rampant problems with fraud and abuse. because it's a lot easier, I guess, to sell a cell phone on Craigslist than it is to sell a landline. And on top of that, a lot more people have been qualifying for welfare under Obama, so that makes them automatically eligible for a free phone.
Food stamps?
Food stamps, yes.
Food stamps is in welfare.
Food stamps is included in that category of eligibility.
And if you have food stamps, you can have an Obama phone?
You can have an Obama phone.
Jillian.
One per household.
13.8 million active Lifeline subscriptions. Is that right? Am I reading that correctly?
That's right, and it's at a huge cost to taxpayers. Last year alone, it cost $2.189 billion to administrate this program.
This program, is it in any fashion challenged by any member of Congress, to your knowledge?
Yeah, I actually talked with Tim Griffin. He's done a lot of stuff. He thinks that we need to get rid of the program altogether. I think there's been a lot of discontent raised about it. Every once in a while, you get a news story about somebody who's got 30 phones in their purse. But it's going to be tricky to get rid of it because the cell phone companies make a lot of money for it. They're going to lobby for it.
Right.
And nobody wants to cut something that purportedly benefits the poor, even though it really benefits corporations.
Jillian, I didn't recognize the names of the companies in your story, SafeLink and Assurance. Who are they? Are they part of bigger conglomerates, or are they small niche players that are sort of sucking off the government?
So SafeLink is part of TracFone, which is owned by Carlos Slim. If you remember who he is, he's a Mexican billionaire.
Oh, the lights just went on.
Carlos
Yes.
Slim.
Bailed out that other New York newspaper.
Carlos
whose name we
Slim
won't
is one of the richest men in the solar system.
One of the richest men.
Yeah.
And I read a different article, I think it was on Politico, that said he got nearly $500 million through the Lifeline program just in 2011. That's a lot of money.
This
I don't think he's
program
gonna let it go.
invites abuse, and because of that, it's something that can be cleaned up. What can be abused can be cleaned up. To your knowledge right now, are the phone companies, the ones that are taking $10 a month per phone, are they aware of the program being abused? Do they have quality control, to your knowledge?
Well, TracFone called me today and said that they were going to launch an investigation into some of the problems associated in my article. But I'm curious if anything is going to get better. I mean, I'm skeptical. Anytime you've got that much money at work,
Right.
and you've got that little oversight, and you've got people that aren't really in the business of oversight trying to do it.
How much do you get a month? How many minutes? What kind of minutes do you get for free?
For free, you get 250 minutes a month, and you get 250 text messages.
250 minutes a month, 250 text messages, all that for $10.
All that for $10.
Say you don't want the phone.
Yeah.
Do you get the $10 anyway?
I think you get that taken off of your other cell phone. And that's actually funny because it's supposed, as you remember, it's supposed to help people who can't afford a phone. When I went up to apply at one of these locations, I had my smartphone out and I was talking on it as loud as I could, hung up only to try to apply. And the entire time I was applying, I was messing around on my phone. Kind of negates the purpose.
Again, you didn't misstate the facts when you applied for the phones.
No, I didn't. And one of the other interesting things I thought is FCC rules for the Lifeline program. You can only have one Lifeline phone per household.
Mm-hmm.
However, on the streets when I was going around to vendors, my first phone came, the SafeLink phone, and I'd tell them, yeah, I've already gotten a SafeLink phone. And the assurance vendor would come up to me and say, don't worry, you can have one phone from every wireless provider. That's not true.
One phone for, Mary, it's breathtaking, but at this point, we'd have to say $2 billion is not even a rounding fee for the kind of money that Washington throws around, right?
It doesn't mean it's a small amount of money, John. I mean, this is really the value of investigative journalism. Jillian, what an incredible piece of work.
Jillian K. Melchior, National Review Online. We're going to scoot her out of the studio because she's due at Fox on Greta Van Susteren in about an hour. You can enjoy the phone on Fox Television, but right for now, Mary and I are going to surrender our Obama phones back to Jillian so she can show them to the national audience. Well, those are facts. Jillian, thank you very much. Mary Kissel, the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal and Opinion Journal each day at WSJ.com. She is the host. I'm John Batchelor. This is The John Batchelor Show.